All right, we're back, and let's get ready to do another example on the delta math completing the square one. So I'm going to start out. Let's say I got x squared plus 13x minus 3 equals to 0. Now, you should already have steps written down for this. We did that in the first video. So if you don't have steps written down for this, I want you to go back to the first video and write down the steps. Once you have those steps down, then we could begin and continue from here. Okay? So first thing in terms of the steps that we're going to do is we want all the x terms on one side and the numbers on the other. So this is the x term, it has an x, it stays here. This is an x term, it has an x, it stays here. This is a regular number, I want to move that over. So how do I move that over? Addition or subtraction? Addition it is. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. And as we add 3 to both sides, we're going to get x squared plus 13x is going to be equal to positive 3. Our next step, we want to make sure that a is equal to 1. Well, is a equal to 1? I just got to double check. Is there a number in front of x squared? No. So if there's no number there, I know a is equal to 1 automatically. Then we want to find our perfect square completer. First, we got b equals 13, and the formula for our perfect square completer is always the same. It's going to be b over 2 in parentheses to the second power. You want to do your best to commit that one to memory. So from here, I'm literally just substituting in. So I'm going to have 13 over 2 in parentheses to the second power equals 2. So from here, that's the same thing as 13 over 2 multiplied by itself. So we got 13 over 2 times 13 over 2, and that equals to 169 over 4. Always double check to see if this can divide and give you a whole number. If this divides and gives you a whole number, then divide it and give you that whole number. But I know this odd number divided by 4, it's not going to give me a whole number, so I'm going to leave it as 169 over 4. In the future, when we finish the steps of solving by a perfect square, you see the usefulness of leaving this in fraction form. All right, let's do another one. So now I got x squared plus 15x plus 34 equals to 0. What's the first step here? You got it. We need to make sure that the x is on one side and the number is on the other. So what operation am I going to do? Subtract. So we're going to subtract that 34 on both sides. Subtract that 34 on both sides. And then we're going to come through and then we're going to have x squared plus 15x is going to be equal to negative 34. Cool. Next step, is a equal to 1? Yes, a is equal to 1. Got that. All right, we're moving forward. Now that we know a is equal to 1, our next step is to do what? Well, we got to find our perfect square completer. To do that, we need to know what b is. B in this case is what's next to x to the first power, which is 15. Cool. Once we have b is equal to 15, then we're going to do 15 over 2 squared. What's that question? Oh, where'd I get all that from? Well, come back from the same thing we spoke about before, that perfect square completer. It's going to be b over 2 to the second power. That gives us the 15 over 2 to the second power. I approach this, 15 over 2 to the second power is the same thing as 15 over 2 multiplied by 15 over 2. Plug that into my calculator. 15 times 15 is 225, and 2 times 2 is going to be 4. If this divides and gives me a whole number, I write the whole number as my answer. If it doesn't divide, I put this one in there. Let's do one last example. Do some practice and make sure that we're strong. So one last example, and then I'll let you go to work. So I'm going to have x squared minus 11x minus 14 equals to 0. What's the first step? X is on one side, numbers on the other. Cool. So first thing I want to do is add 14 on both sides. So I'm add 14 here, and I add 14 there. Okay? So from here, I'm going to go, and that's going to become x squared minus 11x, and that's going to be equal to 14. Next step, make sure a is equal to 1. Is a equal to 1? Is there a number here? No. Then I know a is equal to 1. Then after that, what is b equal to? b equals to negative 11. And I have to use b to find my perfect square completer. So if I'm going to use b, I know the formula is going to be b over 2 taken to the second power. And I know that's going to be equal to negative 11 over 2 in parentheses to the second power. Let's go. What does that mean? That means we're taking the negative 11 over 2 and we're multiplying it by itself because it's to the second power. If it was to the third power, we'd multiply this by itself 3 times and so on and so forth. So we got negative 11 over 2 times negative 11 over 2. A negative 11 times a negative 11 is going to give me a positive 121. And a 2 times a 2 is going to give me a 4. 121 over 4. I got to double check. Can this divide and give me a whole number? Nah, it would give me a decimal. So from here, I just leave this as 121 over 4. So go ahead and complete this assignment and practice it. Doing them again and again is the only way to get better at it. All right? Talk to you soon.